Namaste, everyone. This is Ariela Halevi at Soul Centered, and I wanted to talk to you today about living your soul purpose. This is going to be the topic of most of my month, some of February, some of March, because as we head into the Complementary Healing Circle on March 7th at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, we are going to really dive into this subject because right now, and I feel like a broken record because I've been saying this for 2+ years. But right now we are in yet chaos. And when things outside of us start to get shaky, it starts to get shaky inside sometimes. And we can question and start questioning everything, right? Who am I? What am I doing here? What's the point? Why am I here? And so I really felt guided talk and explore with you what it means to live our soul purpose. So, before we talk about what our soul purpose is, we're going to first kind of backtrack and say that everybody has one main purpose. And I'm going to get there. We're going to hold on to that. But ultimately, how do we find that soul purpose, right? How do we sift and shift through and like the rubble and the stuff of life in order to attain our soul purpose? And for a lot of us, we feel so frustrated, and I just want to kind of back up and say that this is a common question that many of my clients have, that I've been through, that many of us go through in and out of our lifetimes, whether it's midlife, whether it's adolescence, whether it's more of the evening of life. There's so many different kind of transitions in life that we hear, who am I really? And as we age, as we get older, that is a huge discussion. It's a huge question. I know just me having one kid, I have three at home, but that child going to college really set me into this whole grief process, and also a really deep dive into the next my soul contract, into the next layer of my soul purpose. It really forced me it truly brought me to my knees. um for so many reasons, partly because that one child took up a lot of my time and energy. But I digress. Let's dive into your soul contract and your soul purpose. So how do we attain it? How do we find it? The first thing that I like to kind of explore is our soul contracts. I've talked about this before. I've done podcasts. Your contract is like are agreements that you made when you came here to learn life lessons. And I always think when you're looking for your soul purpose, you have to also review what your life has been like. What agreements did you make? What lessons have you learned? Where in our lives what do we want to release now? Where are you seeing ancestral patternings? That is probably, like, if I could really say that there's something that was so important to release and to review, it would be, what are the patternings in your family? What are the behaviors, the beliefs, and the blocks that were created and passed down by well-meaning, like very good people, possibly, that don't work for you any longer? I know in a lot of the work I do, I work with Holocaust survivor families, right? Generations down the line. And what we always see is that there's depression, anxiety, there's poverty consciousness, and there's emotional eating issues. Those are like the top four that I've seen with Holocaust survivor families. And so there's a lot of patternings that have been passed down that are really begging the question, do you want to live with this? Is this something you want to hold on to? It's like going through your room and kind of going through a spring cleaning. Is this really fitting me anymore? Do I really wear this? If it is time to release, you have the ability to go in and really make a new contract. This takes some shadow work, right? So shadow work doesn't have to be scary and dark. Shadow work can be through meditation. It can be through journaling. It can be through asking your guides and asking spirit and your angels to help you, show you what is the path. You may not know how to release these beliefs. They may be so ingrained that you feel like you don't even know how to start. So when I feel lost, the first thing I do is ask Spirit for help. Spirit, I know that I am ready to release these ancestral patterns, and I don't know how. Typically, when we pray and ask for help, we the goal of prayer is not to know the details. You're not in control because we've controlled before and it doesn't work, right? So the goal of prayer is to ask and release. I ask you, Spirit, to help me release these ancestral patternings, and I trust in the divine guidance that you will show me the breadcrumbs. I call God breadcrumbs. You will show me the God breadcrumbs to release this ancestral pattern. And you release it and you let it go. So that's one way to start looking at what needs to be released and what needs to be brought up in order to be let go of. And what I like to do after that is to really think about changing that soul's contract. You have the ability, if you have gone through the lessons and learned the things that you need to learn from certain parts of your history, to now change your soul's contract. What are the new beliefs that you want to instill that feel more like you? Not your mom, not your grandfather, not your great, 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 great grandparents, but you. What new belief do you want to instill that feels like you can breathe again? Right? I am love. I am light. I am here to serve. Whatever it is that you want to create, put it on paper. Say it, experience it. Make new beliefs, pray about it, create a prayer and say it every single morning to give away to Spirit. So Spirit can help you with that new belief. You may find that as you release it into the universe, that you have different where it's really showing you, okay, this is your new belief now. Now you have to hold up the other end of your agreement. Like Spirit's going to do Spirit's agreements. Spirit's going to work with you. And it's you now to do the other side of that. So I like to do kind of the next step of that is to, you create your new belief and then you listen and you pull back and you just kind of wait and see what things are brought up in order for you to live your authentic truth. Now, this is where we get a little stuck. Our younger selves have been through so much, whether it's your little girl, your little boy, whether it's your adult self and you're just your younger self, it doesn't matter what age. We all have trauma. We all have wounds that are our own, not our parents necessarily. So, soul retrieval is a huge part of uncovering your soul's purpose. Soul retrieval is to look at that lost little child, whether it's a big trauma or even a small trauma, it's still trauma for you, whatever your trauma is, and to listen and feel and heal her. She is a huge player in this discovery of the soul's purpose. She is to not be forgotten because some of these little kids, the who we used to be, they can be really feisty. I always say, children should never drive a car, right? You wouldn't let your 5-year-old drive a car. You wouldn't let your 11-year-old drive a car. Then why are we letting our children, our inner children, run our lives? Reacting, anger, temper tantrums, overreacting, little things like that. Those are our little children that need to heal. So that child belongs with the seat and the adult gets to drive the car. And so your job is to drive the car and be her parent. So that's a very simple term. Shamans talk about soul retrieval. That's a very simple way to retrieve your soul from patternings and traumas that have happened in your life. So I like to go into meditation and I like to just allow her to bring up things that have hurt her over time. And I just hold space for her and I listen. That's a perfect way to start figuring out what she needs and talk to her. Talk to those younger parts of you that need to be retrieved instead of staying stuck in what happened to you at 5 years old or 10 years old or 20 years old. And underneath that is who you really are, right? We went through a soul retrieval. We went through your old beliefs, your ancestral patterning. And underneath all of that, I would ask you, which is what I often do with clients, who are you? Who are you under your titles, under your groups you belong to, under all of the ways in which you live in the world? Who are you really? Marianne Williamson said this so beautifully. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond belief. And so ultimately, a lot of us are afraid to shine, right? We are completely scared to rip off all those band-aids and absolutely be vulnerable and shine our hearts. And what we all find, and here's that where I started from in the beginning of this video, what we all find is that underneath all of the hurt and the titles and the traumas and the dramas, joys is love. We are love. Every single one of us is filled with divine love. We are worthy. We are encircled and intertwined with love. Like every single cell in your body has love in it. And our job is to know that. So if with your soul purpose, your responsibility here is to awaken and become aware of how much love you truly are. And once you do that, you can start living in love. You can start walking and driving and shopping and working through a place of love, right? This is the difference between, and I won't go into the details, but this is the difference between 3D living and 5D living. 5D living is just more consciousness. And that's the love. It's our responsibility as awakened humans on this earth. If you are distraught about where you are, who you are, and what's going on in the outside world, then remember to be love. Remember our love. You can send your love, you can share your love, and you can ultimately remember that you are always loved by the divine. Namaste.